Assalamu alaikum and pretty good morning to you all. At the very outset of my speech, I would like to welcome you all the cadets of class 7 of Burishal Cadet College. I think you are mentally well and physically sound. Cadets, you all know that due to the pandemic corona, I am the Saiful Islam Associate Professor of History has decided to take online class, and I expect that you will be with me for the next 80 minutes. So cadets, no more late, no more introduction. Today, our discussion topics, chapter number 1, Liberation Movement of Bangladesh, lesson number 2 and 3, United Front, and the 6-point movement. And the subject is Bangladesh and global studies. Cadets, on the screen you can see the leader of the United Front. We'll discuss briefly after that. And from this chapter, you can learn to describe the achievement of the United Front movement and explain the significance of the 6-point demands. Cadets, to form United Front in 1954 is the outcome of the language movement conspiracy of Pakistani rulers since its inception led the people of East Bengal to feel aggrieved. People of different opinions built unitedly on the issue of self-protection and development. I repeat, people of different opinion built unity on the issue of self-protection and development. Major political parties and their leaders wanted to defeat Muslim League in the election and thus establish rights of the Bengali. They formed an alliance is known as the election of East Bengal Provincial Assembly in 1954. This alliance is known as the United Front. This front has a significant role in our movement towards liberation. I repeat, cadets, I repeat, this alliance is known as the United Front, and this front has significant role in our movement towards liberation work. The election of 1954 was the provincial election of East Bengal. It was the milestone in the history of our struggle against the Muslim League's action to undermine Bengali nation, Bangla language and culture. 16 other political parties alongside the ruling Muslim League contested the election, but the main contest took place between the United Front and Muslim League. Yes, I repeat, 16 political parties alongside the ruling Muslim League contest the election, but the main contest took place between the United Front and Muslim League. The United Front symbol was boat. The front was led by 4 elderly leaders: Ishak Shramik leader Sherebangla Ike Fazlul Haq, Awami League leader Maulana Abdul Hamid Khan Bhashani, Nizam Islami leader Maulana Atahar Ali, Communist Party leader Haji Danesh. Here I would like to mention that Hossein Sheikh Sorowardi contributed a lot in this election. He has a tremendous role for uh, the United Front. Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman took the spotlight among the youth with his growing popularity. The coalition declared 21st point charter of election manifesto. Cadets, I repeat, the coalition declared 21st point charter of election manifesto by selecting the main demands made on the 42-point election manifesto of AL-AMIN Muslim League. Abul Mansur Ahmed, the prominent writer and the journalist, you all know that he wrote so famous books like Food Conference, Amar Dekha Rajnitir Ponchar Bosor. This Abul Mansur Ahmed was the main person to write the 21st point charter with a view to reflect hopes and aspirations from the Mutch people of this Bengal. This 21st point was the hopes, reflect of the hopes and aspirations from the Mutch people of East Bengal. The main points are briefly mentioned below. Cadets, among 21st points, here I will discuss only 11 points. First of all, to establish Bangla as one of the state language of Pakistan. To establish Bangla as one of the state languages of East Bengal at that time. And cadets, you all know, this was the outcome of the language movement in the constitution in 1956. The Pakistan government was bound to declare Bangla one of the state language of Pakistan. Number two, to dissolve the Zamindari system without compensation and distribute the surplus land among the landless people. I repeat, to dissolve the Zamindari system without compensation and distribute the surplus land among the landless people. Number three, to nationalize the jute industry. Cadets, at the time, 2/3 of the jute was product in the East Bengal at the time. So it was the third point demand to nationalize the jute industry. Number four, to establish cooperative agriculture system to develop agriculture. Number four, I repeat, to establish cooperative agricultural system to develop agriculture. Number five, to introduce free and mandatory primary education. To introduce free and mandatory primary education. You know, which was introduced just after the liberation war. Correct? Number five. Number six, education through mother tongue. The way of education through mother tongue. Number seven, to construct a monument commemorating the martyr of 52's language movement. Number eight, to declare 21st February as government holiday, considering it as Shohid Divas. I repeat, to declare 21st February as government holiday, considering it as Shohid Divas. Number nine, to provide full autonomy to East Bengal as per 1940 Lahore Regulation. To provide full autonomy to East Bengal as per Lahore Resolution of 1940. Number 10, in no way the validity of the Legislative Assembly is to be extended. I repeat, in no way the validity of the Legislative Assembly is to be extended. Number 11, if any seats in the Legislative Assembly became vacant, it should be filled in within 3 months through the election. If any seats in the Legislative Assembly became vacant, it should be filled in within 3 months through the election. Friends, now the result of the United Front. United Front election symbol was boat. The symbol of United Front was boat. The elections resulted in a landslide victory for the United Front, which won 236 seats in a house of out of 309, including 9 reserved seats for the women. And at the time, Muslim League got only 9 seats. The Muslim League, party in power directly or indirectly ever since 1937. They managed to get only 7 seats of the total of 28 elected front members. 143 belonged to AL-AMIN League, AL-AMIN Muslim League. 48 to Kishak Shramik Party. 22 Nizami Islami. That means Nizami Islami got 22 seats. Kishak Shramik Party got 48 seats. AL-AMIN League got 143 seats. 13 to Ganatantrik Dal. That means Ganatantrik Dal got 13 seats. Khilafat Rabbani Party got 2 seats of the non-Muslim seats. Congress got 25 seats. And Scheduled Caste Federation 27. And the United Front of the minorities got only 13 seats. Friends, now the importance of the election in 1954. Bengali nationalism won this election. Bengali nationalism won this election, and this Bengali nationalism started from the language movement in 1952. Number 2, this election especially raises of a secularist political ideology. United Front and their ally are also growth a secularist ideology which was accepted people, at least the Win United Front. I repeat, United Front and their ally are also growth a secularist ideology which are accepted people, at least the Win United Front. The win of the United Front demand raises to the full autonomy in these provinces, and it also main agenda of United Front. In 1954, we show that the influence Middle East people, political, this election majority of the candidates are middle knowledge in political background. The result in 1954 are deeply demand full autonomy, and it was a great role played in this election. That means the influence of the middle class and the political importance of the middle class was raised at that time, and in 1954 are deeply demand full autonomy, and it was a great role played in this election. In 1954 election were in the Muslim League government, and in this election, people are shown red card to the Muslim League. Cadets, I think you understood about the introduction, that is formation of United Front, and the manifesto of United Front, the result of the United Front, and the importance of United Front. Now, you enjoy a video clip.
Awami League 6-point program, which is embodied in the 11-point program, presented a rational solution to this problem of the regional injustice. With a central bureaucracy in which Bengalis account for barely 15%, and with the nature of our power structure being what it is, to expect justice from the centralized system of economic management would be to expect the impossible. Attempts to secure larger allocation by political representatives of Bengal and other underdeveloped areas would only aggravate regional tensions and threaten the viability of federal government. The only feasible solution is the reordering of the constitutional structure by giving full regional autonomy to the federating units on the basis of our 6-point formula. Such autonomy, in order to be effective, must include the power of managing the economy. This is why we insist upon federating units having control over monetary and fiscal policy and foreign exchange earnings, and other powers to negotiate foreign aid and foreign trade and foreign aid. By giving to the federating units full control over its economic destiny, while entrusting the federal government responsibility over foreign affairs and defense, and subject to certain safeguards, currency, we believe a just federal balance will be attained. Our federal scheme envisages the abolition of all Pakistan services and its replacement by federating services, in which persons shall be recruited on the basis of population for all parts of Pakistan. We also believe that the maintenance of militia or paramilitary forces by federating units will effectively contribute towards national security. This federal scheme, by removing the source of doubts, distrust, and discrimination, will ensure a strong Pakistan.
Yes, cadets, you understood that. Now we will discuss about the 6-point demand. On the basis of two nations theory, Pakistan was divided. But from the very beginning, the ruler of West Pakistan started to discriminate towards East Pakistan. For the emancipation of social, political, economic disparity, to get rid of the colonial rule and exploitation of the Pakistani ruler, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman proposed the 6-point program. I repeat, for the emancipation of social, political, economic disparity, to get rid of the colonial rule and exploitation of the Pakistani ruler, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman proposed the 6-point program. Basically, after the end of the war between India and Pakistan, Bangabandhu raised voice against the extreme negligence of the West Pakistan government to the security of West Pakistan, and it was the significant event of the history of Bangladesh. A conference on 5th and 6th February in 1966, 6-point program was declared. Now, I would like to discuss about the 6 point. The number 1 point. In Pakistan, there will be parliamentary form of government. Under the federal system, the polling will be held under the general electoral system and adult voter will influence. Number 1, the Pakistan, there will be parliamentary form of government under federal system. The polling will be held under the general electoral system and adult voter will influence. Point number 2, the central government will keep 2 ministries in their land, the defense and the foreign affairs. The state will have full autonomy of the other affairs. I repeat, point number 2, the central government will keep 2 ministries in their hand, the defense and the foreign affairs. The state will have full autonomy of the other affairs. Number 3, 2 different but easy convertible currency should be introduced in the country. A single currency might be used on some terms and conditions. Number 3, 2 different but easy convertible currencies should be introduced in the country, or single currency might be used on some terms and conditions. Number 4, the state government will preserve the right to impose tax. The state government will preserve the right to impose tax, and a part of collected revenue will be deposited to the treasury of the central government. Colors. Number 5, the state will be the owner of the foreign currency that they will earn, and similarly, a portion will be deposited to the treasury of the central government. I will repeat. Point number 5, the state will be the owner of the foreign currency that they will earn, and similarly, a portion will be deposited to the treasury of the central government. Point number 6, the state will be given the power of forming militia force for their regional security. I repeat, point number 6, the states will be given the power of forming militia force for their regional security. Correct? Then Bangabandhu campaigned for creating public opinion in favor of the 6 points. He went to different places and delivered a speech on this. He turns this point as our demand for survival. Correct? For better understanding the 6-point demands of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, you can enjoy another video clip.
In the 1970 National Assembly elections, the mandate of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's Awami League Party was based on a 6-point program of regional autonomy in a federal Pakistan. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman had presented the 6-point program as the constitutional solution of East Pakistan's problems in relation to West Pakistan. First enunciated on February 12, 1966, the 6 points are as below. The constitution should provide for a federation of Pakistan in the true sense on the basis of the Lahore Resolution and for a parliamentary form of government based on the supremacy of a directly elected legislature on the basis of universal adult franchise. The federal government shall deal with only two subjects, defense and foreign affairs. All residuary subjects will be vested in the federating states. There should be either two separate, freely convertible currencies for the two wings, or one currency with two separate reserve banks to prevent inter-wing flight of capital. The power of taxation and revenue collection shall be vested in the federating units. The federal government will receive a share to meet its financial obligations. Economic disparities between the two wings shall disappear through a series of economic, fiscal, and legal reforms. A militia or paramilitary force must be created in East Pakistan, which at present has no defense of its own. After the elections of 1970, differences arose between the government and Awami League on the transfer of power on the basis of this six-point program. There ensued a political deadlock, with talks ending in failure and postponement of the first session of the National Assembly. The postponement of the National Assembly session triggered a chain of events that eventually led to the separation of East Pakistan.
The importance of six-point demands. The demands reflected the national spirit of the Bengali. Number two, it was the charter of our independent world. Number one, the demands reflected the national spirit of the Bengalis. Number two, it was the charter of our independent world. Number three, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman termed these 6 points as demand for survival. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman termed these 6 points as survival. Number four, these 6-point demands inspired the Bengali in our independent war. Number five, after the declaration of this program, Pakistan regime blamed Sheikh Mujibur Rahman as a successionist and the enemy of Pakistan. Pakistan government did not accept the demands, rather started oppression that made the people's movement ineffective. Cadets, I think you already understood about the 6-point demands of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. That means why Sheikh Mujibur Rahman placed his 6 points, and after that, what was the importance of these 6-point demands. Now, conclusion. The win of the United Front demands raises to the full autonomy in this province, and it also main agenda of United Front. The win of the United Front demand raises to the full autonomy in this province, and it was also main agenda of United Front. In 1954, we show that the influence of Middle East people. In the election of 1954 and the 6-point demands inspired the Bengalis in our independent war, and were aimed the Muslim League government. In this election, people are so red card to the Muslim League. Now, the questionnaire is, here is a stem, you can see on the screen, and you see the question A, B, C, D. A is a knowledge type question. B is understanding question, and we also have two portions, that is knowledge and understanding. C is a application type question, and C has a three portion, knowledge, understanding, and application. And last but not the least, D is a higher order question, and D has four parts, that is knowledge, understanding, application, and higher order. Cadets, here is another STEM. You can see a picture on the screen, and also here is a four question A, B, C, D. That means knowledge type question, understanding question, application question, and higher order question. That's at the end of my speech. You all know that whole world is COVID-19 affected. Some of you are affected, you all know. In Bangladesh, now it is dangerous condition. So all time you should maintain quarantine. Wash your hand again and again. Don't take cold water and ice cream. Try to make yourself safe and sound. I think Allah will save us. Thank you very much.